This is the first generation iPod Touch LCD and Digitizer installation guide. So what you're going to want to do is have a fridge magnet aside so you can keep all of your screws organized, as well as the safe pry tool and Phillips head screwdriver that were sent with the screen or LCD, and it also has a removable suction cup. So what you're going to want to do is, first off, flip the iPod over and remove the back plate. You're going to want to stick it into the crack on headphone jack side. Go ahead and stick it into the crack in between the front plate and the back plate, and slide it down the side of the iPod, releasing the back plate from the iPod. After you're done with one side, move along the top. After you've removed the top cover, the other side should just pop off like so. Then you can go ahead and actually, if the iPod turns on, go ahead and turn that off. You do not want to have the iPod on while you're working on it. It's common on the iPod Touches for it to turn back on while you're removing the back cover or the glass. So make sure it's off before you completely start working on it. Go ahead and remove the back plate and set that aside. Then what you're going to want to do is go ahead and lift up on the battery and remove it from the plate. Be careful because there is a ribbon cable underneath the battery for the LCD that goes along right here. So pry up on the top right here, and then you're going to want to pry on the side over here, the whole side, and then you're going to want to pry along in the middle right here. Generally the newer ones that haven't had a battery removed from them are glued along the middle as well. Go ahead and lift that up and place it aside like so. And then what you're going to want to do is remove the LCD ribbon cable connector with your safe pry tool, and then go ahead and lift up your digitizer connector with the safe pry tool. Flip it back. And then you can go ahead and start removing screws. I use a different screwdriver because it is a little faster than using these. There are, I believe, 8 screws. There's actually 6 screws that hold the motherboard in. There's 2 up here. There are 2 right here. And then there's another 2 underneath this black piece of tape, which we'll take off after I remove the first 4. Make sure to keep your screws in order because they are different sizes in different places. Okay, after you've removed those 4 screws, what you want to do is use your safe pry tool and lift up on the black tape. Pry it back and go ahead and peel it off, and place that aside as well. And that reveals the 2 screws on the bottom. Go ahead and remove those. Alright. Then after you've done that, what you can go ahead and do is then remove the top part of the motherboard, and using a safe pry tool again, go ahead and lift up in this corner right here. You're going to want to pry this up. It is glued in, this part of the motherboard. After you've pried it up and out, the whole top part of the motherboard should be able to be lifted up. Make sure to pull back on the digitizer connector before you lift up on the motherboard, because it will rip the digitizer cable if you do not. And then also make sure that you are using the safe pry tool and slowly lifting up on the ribbon cable, removing the adhesive from the plate so that you don't destroy the ribbon cable, like so. You can go ahead and lift it off the motherboard, or off of the plate. Then what you're going to want to do is lift up on the bottom part of the motherboard, also using your safe pry tool. Should make it a little easier. After you've lifted up on it, like so, it'll reveal the bottom part of the motherboard down there. Now, you don't necessarily have to completely remove the motherboard. You do most definitely have to be careful if you do not remove it completely. If you do plan on removing it completely, all you need to do is lift up on this part very gently and carefully, and it should lift up on the bottom part of the motherboard, like so. You should be able to remove it like that. Once again, like I said, you don't have to remove this, but to be careful, it is best off to remove that. Go ahead and set your motherboard aside if you plan on removing that. Then what you can go ahead and do is remove all of the yellow tape holding the covering the screws that hold down the back plate for the LCD. Let's see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 of them. So you need to remove all 16 of those screws to remove this LCD backplate. As I said before, go ahead and first off remove the adhesive, the yellow adhesive that is covering them, and place that aside. Alrighty, then you can go ahead and use your Phillips screwdriver and remove those 16 screws. Also make sure to keep those in order as the rest. Alright, and after you remove the 16 screws, the LCD backplate should just lift right off, coming with the LCD as well, like so. Now if you're only replacing the LCD, this is as far as you need to go. Go ahead and place your new LCD back in place and screw everything back together and reverse the process that you took it apart. If you are planning on replacing the digitizer, go ahead and place your LCD aside, and this should be all you have left. If you are replacing the digitizer, meaning the glass and the digitizer, and not the frame, at this point what you're going to need to do is remove all the glass from this metal frame. You'll see the metal frame around the outside. You would need to remove all of the glass from that frame, leaving the home button loose it will be separate from the glass and the frame. You want to make sure to go ahead and keep that home button and put it back when you replace the new LCD, or I mean the new digitizer. After you've glued the new digitizer in place, or if you bought the digitizer and frame, then you can go ahead and reverse the process of which you took it apart.